We spent a lot of time in the meeting talking about you today because the Eagles have been talking about you. I want to go back to the beginning because for new Bears fans or fans that weren't fans when you were playing, how did the punch come about?
I started doing it in college, believe it or not. One of my coaches, Rodney Southern from Copper's Cove, Texas, played a team, and he just kind of put it in my ear and said they run like a triple option, and he goes, man, if you would have just swatted at the ball, you could have had, 10 forced fumbles. I think that game I was playing safety, and I had about 20 tackles, and I just ran the alley left or right, and my guy was the option player, so I just ran by the quarterback and I just kept hitting the tailback, and he just kept saying, like, man, go after the ball. So at that point, I just kind of made it my thing, and I just started punching out football.
And so did Lovie Smith accentuate it, or who were the defensive coaches in the NFL who said, oh, you should keep doing that, and can you teach some of our other players how to do that?
No, Lovie just preached takeaways. He didn't care how you got the ball out. He just would preach takeaways. I think my unique ability to punch it out I think that was kind of different than anything he had ever seen. So he was just like, I remember Lovie would come up to me in games. It's like, hey, I need one of them little punch out things now. Come on now, buddy. I need you to punch out that ball. Come on, go get it for me.
Come on, big guy. Come on, big guy.
Come on, big guy. Come on, big guy. I need you that little punch out thing. I know you can do it. I'm counting on you, big guy. All right.
So did you have to measure the value of trying to get that done and please your coach, and also make sure you wrap somebody up and tackle them so they don't get by you? Like, that's a tricky balance sometimes.
It is. The one thing I used to do in college is I would purposely take bad angles in college. And, man, I wish I could talk to some of my old teammates. I think Ricky Calais was one of them. He was a linebacker. And he would, he missed a tackle, and he's like, oh, don't worry, Peanut going to get him. And they would see me purposely take bad angles so I could sneak up behind the guy to kill the tackle, and I'd punch it out. Clearly, you can't do that in the NFL because everybody's fast. So I just figured out, well, I can't curse, can't. Well, I'm going to curse.
Don't curse.
I did not. I was going to say the SH word, but I just kind of just was like, well, damn. I can say damn, right?
Yeah, you're good.
You're good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just said, well, damn. I got to figure out a way to punch it out and make the tackle at the same time. So my first game, we played San Francisco, old Candlestick, and it was a special teams play. I was a gunner. I was a dope gunner, too. So running down the field, and I don't know who the return man was, but, I just punched it out, first one. He had that thing like a loaf of bread, and I just punched it out. And I was just like, oh, yeah, I could do this in this league. And I just started punching them.
When did you know that you could take some of those risks? Because I remember you guys saying that the idea was the first guy was supposed to secure the tackle, and then the second guy was supposed to come in and try to take the ball away. So when did you figure out, you know what, I could just eliminate the middleman and take the ball away?
I'd probably say like my second or third year. I felt pretty confident. Like my confidence was pretty high. Probably like my second or third year. I think we played Minnesota, and I had a strip or a forced fumble on Randy Moss. Like he had caught the ball, and I just kept punching it out. I think that was probably the game. I probably was like, oh yeah, I could do this. I could do this.
Man. And so are you hip to where you are on the all-time forced fumbles list? According to Pro Football Reference, Charles, it's defensive ends everywhere. Robert Mathis, Julius Peppers, John Abraham, Dwight Freeney, Jason Taylor, Chris Dolman, and Charles Tillman. You're there. You're number 6 all-time. Then it goes back to edge rushers. Bruce Smith, Derek Thomas, Ricky Jackson, Richard Dent.
I got more than Bruce Smith?
Yeah.
Holy I'm not going to say it. Chicago. Holy Chicago.
Hit that beat button.
Yes. You got more than Bruce Smith. You got more than Richard Dent. He had 37.
Do y'all have like a beat button?
Yes, we do have a dump button.
Hit that beat button.
So dump it. I'm on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Holy shit!
All right.
Pretty cool.
This is pretty cool. And the people who are listening online, they were actually able to hear all of that because they don't have to have the same rules that us on the air have to have.
I gave y'all a warning.
We good.
You're good.
We good.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
And you gave a treat to all of the people who watch on Twitch.
I'm glad the stat had an effect. That's a good thing. So, in fact, on this list, the only other defensive backs that I see in the top 30 are safeties. Like Brian Dawkins is on there. You know, Charles Woodson. Yes, you nailed it. But you got to be the only full-time corner in the top 50 of this stat in the history of the NFL. It's crazy.
I'm 6th all time?
Yes, sir.
All time. 6th all time, which...
That is the history of the game since 1920?
Well, they didn't count the stat until 93. But still,
we don't count it. We did that. We just gonna say 1920. It sounds better.
All right, I like that. Since the beginning of time,
Whatever
Charles Tillman is
the
sixth.
beginning of time.
He is 6th in punching the ball out. So what's it like?
That's what I'm telling my mama tonight when I talk to her. Like, Mama, did you know since 1920? That's over 100 years. I am the number 6 person.
And you could say the number 1 defensive back because there aren't any other defensive backs that are even close. So you could just say that to moms.
That's kind of stretching the truth, but I like it.
I think it works out. So what's it like for you? We know what it's like for us. Like, we'll sit there on a Sunday or Saturday or Thursday. The ball gets popped out. Everyone's like, oh, look, there's the peanut punch. And we hear it and we all rejoice because we saw your career up close. We saw all of this grow into this wonderful thing that makes you what I think should be a Hall of Famer. When you see it in games and you hear announcers talking about it or hear the Eagles talking about how they got a cut up of all of your forced fumbles, what do you think?
Honestly, I think it's pretty cool, man. I'm in all seriousness, I'm humbled by it. I kind of get a kick out of it. I smile and I just say, "Damn, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool to just say that." I'm not gonna say I changed the game, but I think I left my mark. My whole thing when I got to the league was, I want you to know who Peanut Tillman is. Whatever number I get, whatever number I am, I want you to know who I am. That was the mentality I had when I played. You gonna remember who I am, whether we win or lose. You gonna know me. You gonna remember me. Y'all gonna know me. And I haven't played in almost 10 years. And people, hey, you know me. You know what I did in my body of work. It just kind of speaks for itself, and I'm proud of that. Really, I'm proud of that.
You should be, Charles. That's awesome. Because here we are, this many years after you retired, and every weekend in the NFL, your name is getting mentioned. And you did change the game. I brought up this name. I don't know if you've ever heard of the name Dick Fosbury, but he invented a way to do the high jump in track and field.
Like, oh, yeah.
It's still called the Fosbury flop.
Yeah.
And that's 1972.
Thinking outside the box.
Yes. You are.
They used to do it with their feet first. And then he was like, nah, I'm going to do something different. Yeah. So, outside the box.
So he was 1968. And by the next Olympics, 28 of the 40 were doing it his way.
That's crazy.
So that.
And now everybody does it that way.
Everybody does it. I'll give you one more. You ever watch figure skating and they say, ooh, there's a double axel or there's a triple axel? I didn't. Where somebody does a jump. That was some dude named Axel. I didn't know that till today. Some dude named Axel invented that way to do a jump in figure skating, and they still call it an axel. So Axel, Dick Fosbury, Charles Peanut Tillman. That's all I got on this list.
That's good. It's a good list.
Charles, how would you feel if the Eagles did say, would you mind coming down to New Orleans? And we know you know that area pretty well. Would you mind coming to New Orleans and working with a couple of our guys as we get ready for the Super Bowl?
Absolutely not. That's why I hit them on Twitter. I just hit me up. Y'all know where to find me. I ain't hard to find.
Wait a minute. So you would consider going to work with the Eagles in the Super Bowl? If I'm the Chiefs, I would call you. I would call you first.
Yeah. Equal opportunity, man. Equal opportunity. I'm DEI over here.
That's
Equal
what-
opportunity.
That's what I'm talking about. Get you out there and get you teaching this stuff to people.
Man. Everybody can benefit.
When young players ask you about this, what questions do they ask the most?
How do you see it? Like, how do you know which way to punch? Like, do I do it this way or do I do it that way? And I answer the same way every time. I was like, well, I can't tell you. It just depends on how the ball carrier or what position the ball carrier has the ball. Like, there's no. I mean, it's a great question. I can't give you a definite answer because it changes. Because when we walk, we don't walk with our arms by our sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we walk or we run with the ball, our arms are constantly moving. So I can't tell you if the ball is going to be up or if it's going to be back or if it's going to be right near his side or if he's got two hands covering it. There's a difference in the technique and how you punch and the pressure or the force of pressure you use or the power. Like it all just changes. It changes all the time.
So Nick Sirianni apparently tells his guys that if anyone is getting up off of the ground, like Austin Eckler was, the Washington running back, that's when you definitely got to punch. Because somebody who's getting up off the ground doesn't have their coordination in the right place, and they might be using an arm to get off the ground. Like, that's a time when they're vulnerable. Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense. Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. I could see that happening, yeah.
All right, one more thing about the Eagles. Zach Bond the other day was the first player with 10 or more tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery in the conference championship or Super Bowl since Charles Peanut Tillman in 2006. So,
damn.
So that man, that's the NFC title game, right?
Yes.
So NFC title game in 06, Charles. Zach Bond's the first guy to do what you did in terms of those numbers since then.
What were my stats?
This is a segment where we tell Charles his stats and
I
accomplishments.
don't even know all these things.
Yeah, that hadn't happened since you.
10 or more tackles, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery in a conference championship or Super Bowl game. Charles, you.
Oh, man.
Did you get Reggie Bush in that game? Which guy did you get for the forced fumble? Do you remember?
I don't know. Reggie Bush is a victim, but I don't know if I got him in that game. I might have got Reggie when he was in Detroit.
Who was your favorite person that you got?
Pettigrew from Detroit.
Why?
We played them in 2012, and it was on our sideline, maybe the third quarter, and Pettigrew he ran. It was on our sideline. It was like a little dunk pass, and I ended up. It was a check. I think it was like a check down or something, and I ended up running up to him, and I punched the ball out, and I think he kind of ran me over, but I was able to punch it out right. And he got up and he was all mad. And I was like, damn, I got it out. Okay. But the ball went out of bounds. So the very next play, literally the very next play, it's the same damn play. They ran a route and it was all covered and Stafford threw the check down. And I run up and Pettigrew gave me the dopest stiff arm. And I'm like, my face is going back, but I'm looking at the ball still. And I was still able to hit it with the left. Now, I'm all right with my left, and I still punched it out. And I got up, and I'm Lawrence, you know, I'm a clown. I am never serious. I'm laughing, and he just was like, damn, come on. And I just got up, and I just started laughing. I thought it was like the way you're giggling and I'm rejoicing. I literally did that. I just was like, this SHIT is so funny. I don't know, man. It was fun to frustrate people. Because they would get so mad, and I just would laugh. I thought it was hilarious.
That's great. Was there anyone that you didn't get that you wish you would have?
Brandon Jacobs. He's a big guy.
Wow.
I wish I could have got like a Brandon Jacobs.
He's a tall man who ran high.
Yeah. He's like 260. Yeah. He was a guy I wish I could have got.
Did you ever get Calvin? You ever get Calvin Johnson? You ever punch it out of his hands? We remember
ripped it out of his hands.
Oh, hell yeah. Ripped it out of Calvin's hands. And
never a forced fumble. I had one. It was similar to the one I got Hall of Fame, not Michael Irvin, Indy. Why am I drawing a blank?
Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. Oh, no, I was thinking Michael Irvin. Marvin Harrison, when I got that one, I did one similar to Calvin, but they said it didn't count, as they said he didn't have possession of the ball. But no, I never got one on Calvin.
Charles, at this point, I think a lot of people understand, have a better appreciation for your career, because there's the forced fumbles. We hear about that every week. Speaks and I were talking before you came on. It's like there's also a whole bunch of interceptions and a whole bunch of touchdowns that are associated with your career in the NFL. Was it better for you when you punched the ball away or when you intercepted a pass?
I think probably the forced fumble, because that was people at my position weren't doing that, And I think it would have been it's funny we talk about this. I've been punching out football since day one. Literally, my very first game, I was punching them out. And no one really picked up on it toward the end of my career. Now, Chicago media, Chicago fans, y'all knew about it, but social media, being what it is now, it wasn't like that back then. I sound so old saying that.
Yes, you do, and that's okay. That's okay.
But it wasn't a thing. Now, the crazy part is teams knew it, and the first time I felt pretty good. I got confidence, even more confidence, was we played Seattle in maybe a preseason game. And Dan Quinn, he came up to me, one of the assistant DB coaches came up to me, and he goes, "Look, hey, man, I just want you to know we watch your film all the time. I show your guys," and this is when I'm still playing, right? And he goes, "I just show my guys your stuff all the time. Here, hey, coach. And then Dan Quinn comes up and he's like, "Yo, Peanut, I don't know how you do it, but I love watching you play. I love how you take the ball away." And then Pete Carroll came up and was like, "I make my coaches watch your stuff." And I was like, "Really?" Wow, okay, man, thank you. I really do appreciate that. I just thought that was very, it was just very kind of him to come over here and go out of his way after a preseason game to come tell me that. I thought that was real cool. I've always been a fan of Coach Quinn since that day. He was a fan in me. And then the more teams we would play, I would hear receivers talk about it. I would hear, offensive coaches talk about it. I would hear just then it started to circulate around the league. So yeah, man, it's a sign of respect, and I'm very appreciative of the league giving me that respect. Some days I'll look up and I'll get a retweet, or I'll see something on the NFL's their main Instagram page, and I'm getting collabs or shout outs. I get tons of shout outs from my former teammate Greg Olson. Tom Brady gave me one the other day. I enjoy it. It's cool. It's fun. Best thing about it, though, I can look at my kids and say, "Hey, I was him." I know I'll be giving y'all sporting advice and workout advice, and y'all be like, "Oh God, here's Dad talking. He don't know what he's talking about." And then we'll be watching a game, and then whoever the broadcaster is, they'll say Peanut Tillman with the punch, or so and so with the peanut punch, and I just kind of look over at him like, "Hey, I told y'all,
I was him."
Saying it's just to say it. I was him. Nah, F that. I'm still him. I'm still him.
Charles, the texter made a really good point that I didn't think of, and I'm upset at myself that I didn't. I mean, you're connected with the Chiefs. Nagy brought you in to talk with his players, and Dave Tobe. You was blocking kicks for Dave Tobe. They should call you.
I was blocking kicks for Dave Tobe, yeah. How about Dave Tobe, man? Can we just give that dude a shout-out real quick?
Yep.
Just shout out to the greatest special teams coach of all time.
I'm with it. I think he should be a head coaching candidate.
He does it time and time again with whoever. Time and time again. Shout out to Dave Tobe, man. Love that dude. He a good dude.
Hey, Charles, what would it mean What would it mean to make the Hall of Fame? Because you ought to be in the conversation for everything that we're talking about. What would it mean if that happened for you?
Everything. It's possible. I went to a small school. I only won like 6 or 7 games my entire college career, and it really just goes to show that it's not how you start, but it's how you finish. And effort is everything. Effort is everything. And yeah, I'll just be extremely grateful and mission accomplished with, all the hard work that I put in. And yeah, man, I've told Lawrence this. I don't get starstruck when I see other players. I get starstruck when I see Hall of Famers. Like, it's the only time I get like a little giddy little kid, and I get nervous, and I'm just like, hey, that's Bruce Smith. Hey, that's LT. Hey, that's Barry Sanders. That's Rob Woodson. That's like, and I get nervous. I'm just like, that's John Randall. But then we hang out at Super Bowl at these, legend events, and they're like, hey, what's up, Peanut? How you doing, man? I'm like, dang. Me and John Randall we kicking it right now. Last year I watched the Super Bowl with John Elway, and I thought it was the dopest thing one of the dopest things I'd ever done. Like, we literally are in the suite, and I'm sitting next to John Elway, and I was in the Man of the Year suite with like all of the Hall of Famers, all the new Hall of Famers, the new class. Like, I'm just like, how lucky am I? To answer the question fully, man, it'd be a blessing. It'd really be a blessing. I would really be blessed if that were to happen. God willing, no, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.